forgot to find out that instrumental that leads us into this. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday, and welcome aboard to another edition. Let me get my headphones on, right? To another edition of the MEAC More here on the HBCU Sports YouTube Podcast Network. My name is Chris Stevens. I am the host of this esteemed program. Hopefully, you all are doing well out there. As you can see by my Chiron, however they say it in a television, June is Black Music Month, so celebrate accordingly. And this episode of the MEAC More is brought to you by the second annual. That's right. This is the second year we're doing this. The HBCU Sports Awards. HBCU Sports Awards will be taking place Saturday, July the 26th. We will have more information on when we're broadcasting, what time. We've already set the date. It's Saturday, July 26th. You guys can come through and watch us talk about and hand out awards to the latest and greatest in Black college athletics for 2024-25. Very much looking forward to that. We had such a fun time doing this last year. We had special guests and everything. We might be working on some special guests again for y'all this year. So yes, this edition of the MEAC More is brought to you by the second annual HBCU Sports Awards, happening Saturday, July 26, 2025. Time will be determined. You'll be able to watch it live with us, enjoy it. We may even have like a special after stream show for you guys too. So don't hold me to that. I mean, I'm just figuring, I mean, we're all doing this as we go, but don't get mad at me if it doesn't happen. I'm just saying it's something that we've been thinking about doing, but just don't hold my feet to that. Just tune into the awards, trust me. But anyway, today we're going to be talking about the Division I track championships, where we have a ton of HBCU athletes making their mark. And then of course, our main topic is going to be about the summer months here in Black college football. Shout out to Stutter and Noop for checking in. Greatly appreciate him as always. And we'll get started with our main topic, and that is that's not the main topic. This is all right. There we go. All right, Sean Gibbs is hosting a prospect camp for North Carolina A&T June 7th and July 12th. As you can see, this is for 9th and 12th graders, portal transfers, and current Aggies. And Coach Deshaun Jackson also has a camp loading for Delaware State this Saturday, the mega camp June 7th. It's actually supposed to rain in Delaware, so I don't know how this is going to work. But at this point, who Coach Jackson has here come Adrian Crook with that swag slander. You got to catch up with Ken and Kendrick on Friday for that, brother. This is a MEAC one only. But yeah, so as it stands right now, this camp is scheduled to take place on Saturday, June 7th, on the campus of Delaware State University at Alumni Stadium. And as you can see, if you're listening to this later on, but if you're watching this now, you can see on the screen representatives from Colorado, Syracuse, Maryland, Northwestern, Kennesaw State, Memphis, UT San Antonio. Is that Charlotte? I think that's Charlotte. Yeah. And I know for sure that's Albany State, that's Bowie State, Livingstone, and a couple other schools whose logos I'm not very familiar with, so I'm not going to embarrass myself. But yes, so I wanted to talk about these camps because I find it interesting that this feels like a football-only sort of deal. And I think what kind of sort of makes this important is that this is a great way for coaches to identify up-and-coming talent. This is what these camps are for. Yes, the kids get to work out with Division I coaches, Division I athletes. They get to see college campuses and different things of that nature. This is a good question. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Coach Scott has one. I know Coach Barry's got one coming up. I'm sure his is going to be pretty big. But just being able to identify up-and-coming talent, because I cover high school basketball here in Delaware, and I've talked to a ton of coaches, high school and college, and they say all the time, it doesn't start in 9th grade. You got to start talking to these kids 6th, 7th, and 8th grade these days. But in football, you can kind of still get to them 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. So I think this is a good idea. And honestly, I think all HBCU athletic programs should undertake this. I mean, not just football. I'm talking basketball, baseball, softball, lacrosse, track and field, wrestling. Yes, we have wrestling at HBCUs. Morgan State has a men's program. Delaware State is starting a women's program. So, I mean, there's a ton of schools that could benefit from summer camps to sort of put it in these kids' minds that, yes, you can come here and be an athlete and get a great education and you will be able to work with great coaches. You'll meet fellow athletes and different things of that nature. Shout out to the boss man, Ken Rashad, checking in. How often do camps like this appear in the region? Is this common? I can tell you from a local perspective that I don't know if University of Delaware has done one. Oh, we got some stuff coming from University of Delaware later on in this podcast, by the way. So you'll want to stay tuned for that. That's going to be my off topic. But I think I don't know if Coach Hall had a camp last year, a couple years. I know Coach Milstead tried to do one before that. So I think for local kids in the Delaware Valley, the Delaware, Pennsylvania, Maryland, New Jersey area, because that's where Delaware State largely draws from. It's Jersey, it's Philly, it's the DMV. That's where most of the football kids come from. And if there's one way that you can get to these kids is that you bring them in young. You bring them in, let them walk around campus, you let them eat in the cafeteria, then you let them work out on the field. And then if you have the cachet of, say, a Deshaun Jackson, where you'll be coached up by him, by Clinton Portis, who, despite all of his idiosyncrasies, is one of the top running backs of his generation as far as yards per carry, and total yardage. He didn't play very long, but I know he's close to 10,000. If he didn't get there, he was pretty close. But yeah, if your kid is a running back, you definitely want to hear what Clinton Portis has to say. And if your kid is a wide receiver, you definitely want to hear what Deshaun Jackson has to say. So this is a good way for all athletic programs to get kids on campus and let them see what that college life is like. And even if they don't pick your school, you still giving them that opportunity, and chances are they won't forget it. Because I can tell you, as a young kid attending a high school basketball camp in Wilmington, Delaware, at the old Wilmington High School, the coach, Gene Thompson, he actually works at Virginia State now. And he would bring in professional athletes. I mean, there was times that we would see NBA players come into camp and talk to us. I have a very funny Lionel Simmons story that, if you guys bear with me, I'll share with y'all if y'all are interested. But, we got to talk to coaches and general managers and folks like that, and people who knew basketball. And that was important for kids our age coming up. And then I didn't go on to be anything in basketball because I was too short and I was too fat. But I know a bunch of other kids who benefited greatly from those camps back in those summer days. So, I mean, it's very important, after drills, he can't coach nothing but your steps to the hole. That's fair. But it's Clinton Portis. He's a different kind of guy, but there's no doubt about it. He was one of the top running backs of his generation. So he might be able to teach these kids a thing or two, even if he doesn't have the same foot speed. But I think it's important, again, that every HBCU athletic program tries to have at least some kind of camp during the summer. I mean, volleyball. I mean, we've got some really talented volleyball teams here in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. North Carolina A&T, I think they either won the CAA regular season or they were, finished top 3. So the best way to help yourself with recruiting is to get to these kids early. You cannot risk, just losing them and letting them fly by. Just saying, okay, all right, well, we're here. They should know we're here. No, you got to make the effort. You have to make the effort to make yourself seen. You have to to go out to these high schools to ingratiate yourself in the community. Say, hey, I'm the coach here. We're having a camp this summer. We would love it if your kid would come, because they could learn from great coaches, great athletes. They get to see what it's like to be on a college campus. Because I think what a lot of people miss, especially from a Delaware perspective, is that Delaware State is a hidden gem. Everybody looks at University of Delaware as, the big whoop in this state. And maybe that's just, as you can see, I rep very proudly. I'd be frustrated with the football team at times, but I rep very, very proudly. So, I mean, if kids would just look at Delaware State now, the new dorms, kids have Chick-fil-A on campus. Those of us old Delaware State students who have to remember playing chicken on Route 13, making sure we didn't get hit by buses and cars and any other sort of vehicular mode of transportation to get to Dover Mall to get Chick-fil-A. Now these kids can just walk out of their dorms and go right to the Chick-fil-A in the student center. I'm glad my money went to a good place, okay, all right? I'm mad that I still had to run across the highway, but I don't care anymore. I mean, that was 20 years ago. But now that these kids can be able to, they have up-to-date dorms, they have different programs. Our aviation program is one of the top aviation programs in the country. So maybe if you have an athlete who wants to, you know, who is interested in flying or interested in aviation, they could go to Delaware State. We have a pre-law program. We have a on-campus early childhood education center. So if your kid wants to teach, we have a great education program. And no, this is not an advertisement for Delaware State University. They are not paying me to do this. I mean, in fact, I just paid them for giving that. I gave my money. So, yes. So shouts out to A&T Roy. He said we finished much higher than predicted and made it to the coastal volleyball tournament, 11-6, I think. So yeah, I mean, this is a great an A&T summer volleyball camp will be great to get more of those Greensboro kids, those Triad kids, those Winston-Salem kids into the onto your campus and let them know that yes, this is feasible for you. If you are a good athlete and you do what you're supposed to do in the classroom, that's the most important thing. Make sure these kids, I say this all the time, make sure these kids don't forget the student part and student athlete. Because yeah, you might be a great athlete, but if you can't make the academic requirements, then nobody's going to be able to bring you on board. It's really that simple. I mean, you can argue that some kids get passed through, but not as much as they used to. I mean, because I knew folks that got passed through back in the day. Not on Delaware State's campus, but I'm talking from a high school perspective, just because they were good in sports. It happens. Wait a minute. So Adrian Crook says on his campus he had 5 or 6 fast food joints in 2002. We ain't had no fast food on campus, man. We did not. We did no such thing. And a movie theater, we had to go across the highway to go to the movie theater in Dover Mall too. See, I have a shout out to Southern, man. I mean, Baton Rouge seems like a great place to be. I've never been. I would like to go though. Shout out to Michael Road Dog Reed. You should have just crossed the road at the red light, Chris Knievel. I did. But see, the problem is what most people don't understand is Route 13 that goes through Dover, Delaware. People don't know the meaning of the word stop. I mean, there have been people that have been hit. Some have survived, some have not, unfortunately, been hit by people who don't understand that Route 13 does have red lights. People think of Route 13 as the other highway in Delaware, when it really is just a road. It's not Route 1, it's not 95 North, it's not 95 South. It is freaking Route 13. And people still drive like bats out of you know where. And this was going on back in the early 2000s when I was going to Delaware State. I imagine it hadn't gotten much better here in 2025. So I waited for the red light, but that didn't mean I wasn't scared for my life that somebody was going to try to just randomly, cheat the light and knock me to kingdom come. I mean, people are crazy. I have a real beef with bad drivers, and Delaware is full of them. But that's another story for another episode. Anyway, so yes, back to the point of summer camps. Every athletic program at an HBCU should be thinking about this. Every volleyball program, every soccer program, every basketball program, every baseball program, every track and field program, every HBCU athletic program should be like, how can we have a camp on campus to make sure that we get the local kids in the community to see that we are interested in them long term? And they won't forget that. Their parents won't forget it either. So that's why I wanted to talk about the camps, because I felt like that's a great way for our schools to identify that next level of talent. And even if these kids don't become athletes, because there's a chance that a kid might think they're a great athlete, but even if they're not, they still might want to come to your school anyway. It's all about recruiting. You have to recruit the kids. The kids can't recruit themselves, and as a university, you shouldn't want to be recruited. I get that a lot of schools sell themselves, like Southern sells itself, Grambling sells itself, Howard, Spelman, Morehouse, Florida A&M, A&T, Jackson State, North Carolina Central, How? They all sell themselves. I mean, they have that sort of legacy and tradition to the point where they can say, okay, all right, this is who we are. Y'all know what we do. Y'all can come here and get an up close look. But other schools, we say this all the time. There's 107 HBCUs that are still up and kicking right now. And the rest of them are likely going to have to sell themselves. I mean, literally just put it on and just literally just put themselves out there, shoot their shots. I mean, and even the schools that we think that have that cachet, like Howard, Hampton, Spelman, Morehouse, FAMU, Jackson State, Grambling, they still do their fair share of recruiting. So in this world today, in this athletic world today, you can't coast on your name. That is only for the big name schools. And that's no disrespect to our schools, because our HBCUs have some pretty big names. But I don't think that we can coast off the fact that we're HBCUs and that we offer something that most PWIs and Power Fours can't. So these camps, once again, are a great idea to do that. And I really hope that every HBCU athletic program, no matter how many on campus, start thinking about doing these camps to say, okay, all right, we got so many ways to get to these kids. Let's start using them. And you can even have your athletes as volunteers or pay them a stipend. I mean, it's part of the work study program for now. I mean, you can still get a work study check through your Pell Grants and stuff. That's how I remember it, because that's how I got paid. I had two campus jobs, believe it or not. I had 2 campus jobs at Delaware State University. I was sports editor for the newspaper, and I was a peer tutor in the Delaware State Writing Center. I used to help people with their papers. And that's what told me that I didn't want to teach, because I just, students would try to outslick you just because you were a student yourself. And I looked at it from the perspective of a teacher. I was like, nah, this ain't cutting it. And they hated coming to me, buddy. So that's why I was like, yep, I'm not going to teach. It would take a life change for me to teach. So, it's just one of those things where, again, you can use the resources that you have, like kids, like your athletes, use some of that grant money, use some of that scholarship money, and pay them to be, camp counselors. So it's easy. So we got Alexander Wilson checking in. He said, at my HBC, we had Chick-fil-A and Burger King. See? Nah, the nearest Burger King in Dover is at least a 3-mile drive south of Delaware State University. And I didn't get a car until the middle of my 3rd year. And honestly, that was the worst thing that could happen to me, because that's all I did. All I did was go to Burger King. I got up to 400 pounds in college at one point because I was greedy. I didn't want to eat on campus, and I had a little work study paycheck, and gas was like $2 a gallon then. Oh, McDonald's and Burger King saw me every day. Not a smart decision. So maybe it's best that these kids do have on-campus options so they can walk some of that food off on their way back to the dorms or to the yard or whatever. So, but yes. So that's my take on football camps, and that every athletic program at HBCU should be thinking about some way to get a summer camp going to get these athletes in there. Shouts out to A&T Roy. He says, we do football, women's basketball, volleyball, and baseball camps. Expect to restart men's basketball with our new coach. Who is the new coach, by the way? I totally forgot about that. Because I know the other coach had been shown the door mid-year. So has A&T hired a new coach yet, T Roy? Let me know, and I will get to that. But we're going to talk now about the D1. Speaking of D1 athletes and HBCUs doing good things, we have the NCAA track championships, which are always held at the University of Oregon. Shouts out to Steve Prefontaine and Phil Knight. And this comes from a story that was written by my colleague, Mr. Jared Hoffman. He will be on tomorrow at 3 p.m. with the Better Than Less Than podcast. That's going to cover everything D2 and NAIA. So this is from his story. And here are the athletes. There are a lot of athletes who are competing in Eugene, Oregon right now. So, okay, first up, we got Anthony Wood from Alabama State and LaDamian Rowell. Is either Rowell or Roll. That long O or that short O will trip you up every time. But yes, Anthony Wood of Alabama State and LaDamian Rowell of Jackson State at the men's triple jump. Also in triple jumping is Xavier Partee from North Carolina A&T, as Roman Smith from Southern in the men's high jump. Isaiah Taylor will be competing in the 110 and 400 meter hurdles. We got Jamarian Stubbs from Alabama State in the men's 100, 200 meter dash. Kirk Dawkins of FAMU in the 800 meters. Noah Langford from Howard in the men's 400 hurdles. Xavier Taylor of A&T in the men's 400. Jared Gentles from Campin State also is in there. We got A&T's men in the 4x100 and 4x400 relays. Howard is also in the 4x400 relays for the men. Jordan Pierre from UAPB is in the men's 400, and Arkansas Pine Bluff is in the men's 4x100. On the women's side, we have Olivia Dowd from North Carolina A&T in the triple jump. A lot of Aggies in this joint. Spirit Morgan. Oh, that's an awesome name. Her parents named her right. Spirit Morgan, North Carolina A&T in the women's high jump. We also have Marcia Say from Howard in the women's 100 hurdles. Kaylee Collins from Howard in the women's 100 meters. Anaya Woodruff from Howard. David Oliver has done a great job in building up that women's track program, by the way. Anaya Woodruff from Howard in the women's 400 and the women's Howard team in the women's 4x100 meter relay. All right. Oh, wait. Okay, so Monty Ross is still there. My bad. I'm sorry. I remember Monty Ross because Monty Ross used to coach at the University of Delaware. And they got rid of him way too soon. I don't know why, but Monty Ross was doing a good job at the University of Delaware. I mean, I'm glad he's there now. So Jamarian Stubbs from Bama State may shock some folks, as the boss man says. Yes, I'm looking forward to that. So Jared Hoffman is probably going to be doing our track coverage. So y'all be sure to, keep up to date with everything we're doing on the HBCU Sports website. Jared is our track expert and our D2 NAIA expert. So everything in those realms, look for Jared Hoffman's byline. You won't be disappointed. So to see this many kids from HBCUs in the national championships for Division I is wonderful. Division II, we've seen that. I mean, Jared covered that too, because Lincoln University of Pennsylvania, that might be the best program they have is track and field. I mean, Lincoln University. Oh God, not Lincoln University of Pennsylvania, Lincoln University of Missouri. But yeah, we got two Lincolns. Well, actually three if you count Lincoln in California in that football program. Whatever. But yeah, seeing these many kids compete at the D1 level in the national championships is proof that track and field has always been our strongest sport. This goes back to the days of Edwin Moses, winning long distance gold medals when because he's a Morehouse man. And then of course the legendary Wilma Rudolph and the Tennessee State Tiger Bells, who won Olympic medals under Ed Temple back in the 50s and 60s. So track and field has always been a huge part of HBCU athletics. And I wish we would play that up more. I really wish we would. Because Hampton had Francine McCrory and Kelly Wells, who's actually going to be going into the Hampton Hall of Fame this year. So there's a lot of talent at HBCUs that have gone on to run at a national level or have gone on to do great things in the track and field sphere. So hopefully we see more of this. We absolutely need to see more of this. And Texas Tech. Oh, so Adrian Crook brought up something that I wanted to talk about. So I have two off topics. That's fine. So yeah, we'll get to it. Boss Man's got a book coming out. I highly recommend you get it when it drops. He'll announce the title and a release date very, very soon. So yes, Ed Temple is the track and field GOAT. He is the man behind the Tennessee State track programs and the Tennessee State Tiger Bells, which of course was led by the late great Wilma Skeeter Rudolph. I always loved reading about Wilma Rudolph's life story. Like she just had such an amazing rise to fame. Like she couldn't even walk at first as a kid because she had I think it was polio, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was polio, and she overcame that and became the world's fastest woman. And we got all these diseases coming back thanks to the brain worm in charge of Health and Human Services. Folks, get your shots while you still can. That's my only political comment for today. Thanks, Ken. Yeah, so I was right. It was polio. All right. So, yeah. Track and field has always been a huge part of what we do. as HBCU athletics. I mean, we talk about basketball and football being the front porch of our programs, but you still got to have a clean house. You still got to have a house where people can use the bathroom. You still got to have a house where people can eat off your kitchen table or your dining room table. And that's where all the other sports come in, the Olympic sports, the volleyball, the track and field, the baseball, the softball. God, I wish we could have baseball back at a full strength at HBCUs. Like, there's only 2 HBCU conferences left that are playing baseball. Well, three, because you have the HBCUAC and the NAIA. But the only NCAA ones left are the SIAC and SWAC. CIAA doesn't sponsor baseball anymore, even though they have a couple of baseball schools. I know Claflin still has baseball. I know Virginia State does. I know Lincoln does. But I think that's it. I think that's it from a CIAA baseball perspective. And of course, as we all well know, that the MEAC 4, the last 4 MEAC programs that sponsor baseball, Delaware State, Norfolk State, UMES, and Campin State, are playing in the Northeast Conference. So there's so much that our schools need to develop in terms of getting talent on board and different things of that nature. But I really would like to see us bring baseball back as a whole, because baseball is one of the sports that we've always excelled at. Yeah, shouts out to Big Blue Tsunami, Ralph Boston from Tennessee State. So yeah, that is Tennessee State has a legendary track history. I mean, I would argue it's second to none in HBCU sports, to be quite honest with you. It's an incredible legacy. So yes, Adrian Crook brought up something that I wanted to talk about really, really quickly. He referenced Texas Tech, who is in the women's softball national championship series. And the reason they're there is because it's the best $1 million that I think any athletic program has ever spent. And that, of course, is securing the services of Miss Nigeri Kennedy, who is the top pitcher in the country right now. She has pitched every pitch for Texas Tech, and they've taken out a bunch of lead dogs, including Oklahoma, who won the last 4 women's college softball championships. Now, what I want people to be mindful of is that there are people, and you know what people are already upset that this girl got $1 million in NIL to come to Texas Tech. So I want y'all to be mindful of how people talk about this young lady and her NIL deal, because I mean, it's not that far-fetched to say that this is going to turn into another Angel Reese situation, because white people hate Angel Reese the way I hate macaroni and cheese. And I know I'm going to catch a lot of wreck for that, because I don't think I've shared my mac and cheese take with y'all yet. But yes, mac and cheese is a severely overrated dish. Severely overrated. I mean, it's gross to me. And that's how some white folk feel about Angel Reese. And I feel unfortunately, I feel like Nigeri Kennedy is gonna fall under that same line, because who is this black girl to get $1 million from a PWI? They wanted to give it to her. And it's the best $1 million that Texas Tech probably has ever spent. I mean, it's probably better than whatever they gave Bob Knight when he was the basketball coach, because everybody knows who Texas Tech softball is. Everybody knows who Nigeri Kennedy is now. But there are people in that talking about, oh, Texas Tech bought a championship. Welcome to the 21st century. People been buying championships at the college level. Y'all late. Y'all asses is late. It's that simple. Oh, let me put this on there. So, boss man, yeah. Hit the super chat. Hit the super chat. You know, kick us a couple coins if you like what we're doing. And I know you like what we're doing, because the numbers bear us out. We are having a great increase in subscriptions and views, and we greatly appreciate y'all for giving us the vibe. And hopefully we continue to give you guys what you subscribe, tap in. Oh yes, the opinions of macaroni and cheese are those of Chris Stevens and not those of HBCU sports. But yes, I just want y'all to be abundantly clear about this Nigeri Kennedy situation, because this is another way for white people to be bigoted, be Nazis. And that was just I wanted to talk about it, but then I thought about it. I was like, but then Adrian Crook brought it back to my attention. I was like, yeah, but Lionel Williams said, but considering that he coached the Front Porch Sport, they knew they were going to get their money back. Yep. That's fair. But at the same time, we can't not. I mean, everybody, all these kids have a right to make some paper now. All these kids have a right to make some paper now. And the NCAA has been getting over on these kids and their families for generations. Like they would tell these kids all the time, no, we can't pay you because we ain't got it. But every time you look up, there's a new building. Every time you look up, there's an expanded tournament. Every time you look up, there's, an ad campaign talking about our kids go pro in something other than athletics. They are pro athletes that you refuse to pay correctly. That's what that boils down to. That's what that boils down to. Thanks to Michael Road Dog Reed for having my back. And can I say this? I've never had oxtails. So can someone hit me to, should I try oxtails? I mean, I'm a soul food dude. I mean, I fry my own chicken. I need to get better at ribs though. My ribs are a little suspect. But yeah, I fry my own. Troy said for me to send in my black card. My fault. I'm sorry. But yeah, just be mindful of this situation with Nigeri Kennedy, and just be mindful that she's a young black woman. She may not attend the HBCU, but she deserves our protection as if she were an HBCU student, because white people are already starting to do their dog whistle, and it doesn't make any sense. Speaking of white folks and dog whistles, I stumbled upon this on the Musty app today. So, I'm gonna pull this up on the screen. I can find it. I know I uploaded it. Where is it? Okay. No, that ain't it. That's not it. So remove this and add that. Okay, so a reporter for a D1 outlet said, who has the most to lose if Villanova cements a move to Patriot League football? Because once again, folks are leaving the Coastal Athletic Association from a football perspective. William and Mary out. James Madison been left. University of Delaware is leaving. And who else is leaving? Who else? Richmond's going to the Patriot League. All right. So as you can see, who has the most to lose if Villanova cements a move to the Patriot League? And the poll goes New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Maine, leads with 56%. Next up is Towson, Elon, and Campbell at 25.8%. Monmouth, Stony Brook, and Albany at 11.9%, and our friends at Hampton and A&T at 6.3%. So down in the thread, there's a quote, there's a tweet from someone called the Blue Hen Review, which is actually the name of the school newspaper, but this person does not represent the school newspaper. At least I would hope they don't. I wouldn't blame them if they did. The CAA ruined their own conference by adding Hampton, Campbell, North Carolina, A&T, and Bryant. That's why Delaware, Richmond, William and Mary all left, and JMU. All right. So we've talked about this before on shows a year or two ago, that when a reporter here at the Wilmington News Journal, Kevin Tresolini, who is a University of Delaware alum and arguably the dean of Delaware athletic media. Like, I talk to Trez all the time whenever we run into each other at high school basketball games. I mean, we've had discussions about this. I mean, I called him out on it, and we had email discussions about it, and everything is clear about that. There goes the neighborhood thing. But what I want people to understand is that this is another dog whistle. Like, yeah, whoever this person is threw Campbell and Bryan in there, but this was absolutely a veiled shot at Hampton and A&T, because they did not want HBCUs in their, to ding to do conference. I don't know why mom always likes to say to ding to do. I mean, I guess that's a way of saying bougie or whatever. I had to ask her later on, but that just always sticks in my head whenever mom starts talking about, bougie people or whatever, to ding to do or whatever that is. But yeah, most of the Coastal didn't want HBCUs in there to do conference or whatever. So that's why the dog whistles sort of come out. And honestly, I really hope that A&T and Hampton, absolutely just start making moves in that conference. Like football for Hampton's gotten better. Basketball at A&T and Hampton is good. Volleyball is solid. Baseball is solid at A&T. So I really hope that as much as I would like for either Hampton or A&T to come back to the MEAC, I absolutely want them to succeed, to rub it in the face of these Coastal Athletic Association. What's the word I'm looking for here? I'm trying to be FCC sensitive. Morons. That's what we'll do. We'll go with morons. And honestly, I can't wait for UD to fall flat on their face at the FBS level. Because if you think that people are going to come to Newark, Delaware on a Wednesday afternoon to watch you play UT San Antonio in Conference USA, no. Y'all couldn't UD could barely have people in there for Coastal Athletic Association games during the weekend. I mean, everybody thinks that UD just constantly sells out football games. Wrong. I mean, it's a 20,000 seat stadium, but I've seen my fair share of empty seats at Delaware Stadium and Tubby Raymond Field in the last few years. And I don't think moving to FBS is going to solve that equation any. I don't think that having a 5,000 seat basketball arena that is going on 35 years old is going to, draw a lot of interest from D1 level basketball players. So for UD to just feel like they're that much better than HBCUs, especially the one in their own backyard, I really look forward to seeing how FBS works out for them and the higher Division I level works out for them. And I can tell you right now, it's not. They needed a miracle run to go to the Coastal Athletic Association men's basketball championship game, and they still lost that one. So I just always find it interesting that UD tries to gaslight people, trying to gaslight folks, and it's just like, really? Like, y'all have had y'all down periods too, because never forget, there was a time in the 80s when UD had like 3 or 4 losing seasons in a row. And this was during the time that Bill Collick was coaching Delaware State, and they were winning and sharing MEAC championships. This was happening. This was in the mid to late 80s, because Delaware State won the MEAC in 85, 87, 88, 89, and 91. And UD was nowhere to be found in the what was then the 1AA polls. They wouldn't play Delaware State then. Because that iteration of Delaware State teams that had John Taylor on them, that had Brian Randall and a few other guys would have absolutely kicked UD's butt. So they waited until Delaware State was on a struggle to say, yeah, we'll play you guys in a yearly series. It'll be great for state spirit. It would have been great for state spirit to watch y'all get y'all faces rubbed in the dirt by Bill Collick in the 80s and early 90s. But y'all ducked and dodged. You ain't slick. You ain't fooling me. So when I saw that tweet, I had to bring it because I was like, man, I'm tired of UD just taking veiled shots at HBCUs. So I hope A&T and Hampton, of what's left of the Coastal, I hope they run it. I hope whatever sport they want to be good at in, that they do it. I really hope. Lionel Williams said that was a resurgence of Joe Przicki. Yeah, he was the one that got Delaware State to that place where Bill Collick can help them win MEAC championships. Because a lot of people forget Delaware State football in the early 80s. I mean, Delaware State has been in a rut for a decade now. But in the late 70s and early 80s, it was really bad. You had coaches being fired for different reasons that had nothing to do with football, a bunch of different things. And there was the legendary 105-0 loss at Portland State. Of course, that Portland State team was led by Neil Lomax, who went on to play quarterback for the then St. Louis Cardinals. Yes, there were 2 St. Louis Cardinals once upon a time, one football, one baseball. But yes, Neil Lomax, I think he threw for like 8 or 9 touchdowns in that game, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, this was 1980. UD went out to Portland State, lost 105-0. It was supposed to be a home-and-home series. Delaware State canceled the second half of that. They said, oh, no, you're not coming here Nope. And that was a struggle. That was a struggle. And of course, Joe Przicki came along, got that team to 8-3 record in 1984. Then he quit. And Bill Colick, who was the defensive coordinator, took over. They won their first MEAC championship with John Taylor as wide receiver in 1985. Mike Walker was the quarterback, so was Pat Spencer. And then, of course, they went on to win a few more MEAC championships in the late 80s and early 90s. But yeah, at that time, UD wasn't really good. UD waited until they were good again to say, okay, we'll finally play Delaware State. Weak sauce, absolute weak sauce. So this is twofold. I hope that A&T and Hampton become a coastal power, and I hope that UD enjoys whatever FBS success they think they're going to have, because I don't see it coming. Well, at least I hope I don't see it coming for obvious reasons. And that's going to do it for this edition of the MEAC and More with your boy Chris Stevens. Greatly appreciate your time as always. Be sure to subscribe to this channel and become a level 1 or level 2 member for the neat and tidy sum of $4.99 a month. I don't know if McDonald's still has the dollar menu. You might be able to get a couple McDoubles and some fries with that, but you can also spend that money on HBCU sports and get all the HBCU sports that is fit to broadcast and print as we like to give it to you. You can follow us on the Musty app, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook, Blue Sky. I keep telling y'all, man, Blue Sky is a much more peaceful place. There's no bots. There's no Nazis. It's fun over at Blue Sky. But yeah, we're on Blue Sky as well. Just search for HBCU Sports. And don't forget, you can donate at hbcusports.com/donate or go through the Zelle app. Donate at hbcusports.com. You can go there, do it that way. And don't forget, once again, the HBCU Sports Awards, the second annual. Now we can say it. Here's one thing that really annoys me when people say the first annual or something. There's no such thing as a first annual. It is inaugural. Last year was the inaugural HBCU Sports Awards. Now this year we can say it is the second annual HBCU Sports Awards, because now there's going to be two of them things. We had one last year. We're going to have one this year. Looking forward to giving you guys that award show where we highlight the best and brightest from Black college athletics in 2024-25. So stay tuned to this channel. Tomorrow, Jared Hoffman will have the Better Than Less Than podcast that covers all things D2 and NAIA. And on Friday, Ken Rashad and Kendrick Marshall will bring you the SWAT Page podcast. I'm sure they will have a lot to say about the big news of the week in the Southwestern Athletic Conference that has nothing to do with anything on the field. Yeah. If you haven't heard about that story, head on over to hbcusports.com and check it out. So thank y'all for watching and listening. Greatly appreciate y'all's time. Until the next time we speak, y'all take care of yourselves and each other. Okay, and try it again. Y'all take care of yourselves and each other. We gone.